Hello everyone. Today let us see just a minute, also known as jam session, which is an interview round. Well, the first question, what is just a minute? Or the basic question, what is just a minute? Just a minute is an elimination round in which a group of people are made to sit in a room or an office setting and asked to talk about any particular topic for 1 minute. Mind you, this is an elimination round, and everything that you talk counts. So generally, what would they look when you're talking? They would check your spontaneity, your creativity, sentence structure, fluency, grammar, pronunciation, and voice module, and much more. It basically depends upon the company and the role that is being offered. Now, what do you generally think when somebody asks you to talk about anything? Or the basic question, tell me about yourself, or self-introduction, what would you think? You generally think that, it's pretty easy and I can talk about any topic. I might not talk now, but I will definitely talk in the interview. Look, in 17 years of my experience, I have seen this. I will do then, ma'am. Then I'll do, ma'am. This I have seen a lot. Believe me, it's very common. Talking in English is pretty easy. I am from an English medium school. It's pretty easy for me to talk. And it is easy to talk about any topic. Absolutely, it is easy to talk about any topic. It is not limited to these things, but these are the common assumptions that I have seen in most of the students. Now, but what do you actually do there? When you go there, what do? You get nervous, you get panicky, you get confused, your heart rate increases, your hand starts to sweat, your voice and hands become shaky, you forget most of the easiest topics, and you go blank, and most of the time, you end abruptly. Right? Most of the times you end abruptly. This is what you actually think that you do. This is what you actually think that you do. And this is what you generally do. Isn't it so? Relax. Why do you do what you actually do? If you can answer this question, if you can get to know this answer, then it will be easy for you to go ahead. Now, why do you do what you actually do? Why do you get nervous, panicky, confused, shaky voice, your heart rate increases, you go blank, and you end abruptly? Why do you do all these things? These are natural chemical processes in the human body. So this is absolutely normal. Absolutely normal. You're not something different, or you're not a failure, you're not a loser. No, absolutely normal. When we perceive a situation as dangerous, some psychological processes kick in instantly to help you escape the danger. Look at the keywords here. When you perceive a situation is dangerous, it is not that a situation is dangerous, but when you perceive something as dangerous, your psychological processes, your physiological processes kick in, and instantly they help you to escape the danger. That means there is something known as freeze, fight, and flight mode. You either fight or fly away, or you freeze completely. Now, what happens here? What are the physical changes that happen when somebody wants you to talk in public? There is something known as stress hormones. There are something known as stress hormones. These two are the culprits. They kick in instantly, and then they bring all these changes to you. Now, why do these things happen? There is something known as fear. You're afraid of something. Fear is actually a good thing. Fear is a protection to you. You don't go into the sea because you're afraid that you might drown. You don't go to the end of the cliff because you're afraid that you might fall down. You don't go outside into the crowd because you're afraid that you might get COVID-19. Right? So fear is something which protects you. Similarly, when you perceive a situation dangerous, in this situation, your brain perceives public speaking as dangerous. It says when you stand in front of people and you talk, you might get humiliated. You might get, your grammar might go for a toss. You might not remember everything. So don't talk. Now, how is your body communicating to you? It releases these hormones. These hormones. It releases these hormones, and these hormones try to give all these physical issues to you, and it actually believes if you get all these physical issues, you will stop talking in front of people so that you will not get humiliated, you will not get embarrassed, you will not be laughed at. All right, so this is the reason most of the people do not like to stand in front of people and talk. Now, do you know the reason why most of us, when we stand in front of people, get afraid? The reason behind the fight or flight mode or freeze mode, this is the reason. And what happens when you generally stand in front of public and try to talk? These are the common mistakes that you do. You false start. You start something and you don't know how to continue. For example, go here. You might say, Vizag, if I ask you to talk about Visakhapatnam, Vizag, also known as. Vizag is a wonderful place. Vizag is uh, Vizag is also, or Vizag has a tag which says it is a city of destiny. Right. So here, when I say false start, this false start here, you have 3 points here, right? You're saying Vizag is a wonderful place. You started with Vizag is a wonderful place. And then you said Vizag is a, after saying this, you don't know what to continue, how to continue. And something else flashed in your mind. You stopped the sentence in the midway and you came back and said, Vizag has a tag which says it is a city of destiny. So now this sentence is a false start. You start, but you drop it in between. And then you go back to another sentence. Now this is known as a false start. The second one here is sounds. See, when I ask you to tell me about yourself, you might start with saying, my name is Shweta, I'm from Visakhapatnam. I've completed my BSc Home Science in St. Joseph's College and then my MSc in Andhra University. I am a trainer and I love to train people. I love to learn and I love to train people. This is one way of self-introduction. The other way is, this is what I generally see in most of the students. This goes like this. My name is Shweta and I come from Visakhapatnam and I studied in St. Joseph's College in BSc and MSc in these kind of sounds. They also kick in a lot. Why do these sounds come in? Because of thought flow obstruction or word flow obstruction. Now, thought flow obstruction is, it obstructs your thoughts. Like you have one, you might say you have one, what's happening here? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 points. When you have this thought flow obstruction, what happens is 1, 2, 3, you miss the 4th point. That obstructs, your thought gets obstructed there, and you don't know what to say after the 3rd point. And what would you do? You end abruptly. Without saying anything, you just ended, or you just stand over there freezing, right? Similarly, you might also use sounds there. And word flow obstruction. What is word flow obstruction? Again, we'll go back to the Vizag example. Vizag is a wonderful city, and it is also known as the city of, you forgot what it is. The destiny word is not, you're unable to remember the word destiny. Now what happens? It is a city of, it is a city of, the sounds here. This is the reason you get sounds here, right? And after this, you might also get something known as redundancy. Vizag is a beautiful city. Vizag is a wonderful city. Vizag has a lot of beaches and other places, which makes the city wonderful and beautiful. And Vizag is pleasant when it rains, and it is also very beautiful when it rains. The same point you give in different sentences, and that becomes redundancy. And you might also go into end abruptly. These are the common phenomenon these are common phenomena when I see when people talking, when we ask them to talk in front of people. These are the common things that I see in them. Now, how do you do that? How do you overcome this? First of all, it's okay. Tell your brain that it is okay, and then breathe. And tell yourself that it is only 200 words. You need to talk only for 1 minute. That translates into 200 words. Got it? It's easy, right? So first of all, you need to say it is okay. It is okay. I can talk in front of people. Fine. The positive talk, the neuro-linguistic language and buzzwords and all that stuff. It's okay. We can talk in front of people. But how do you do that? You need to prepare your brain. Tell the brain that it is okay. Your brain needs to perceive that it is an all right issue. It is not a dangerous situation. But how do you do that? Is the question, isn't it so? How do you do that? You need to tell your brain and your body, because your body and your mind go hand in hand. So if you are well prepared, you can easily handle these situations. That means if you actually practice and practice the way it should be practiced, then your brain says, you know what, you are wonderful at this. You can rock wherever you go. Now, what is mindful practice? From theory to application. So this is one of the aspects that they might ask you. They might ask you about people, city, things, social media, computers, institutions, etc. This is one of the category they might ask you. And in this category, you can use this technique. You can use introduction, body, and conclusion. A brief introduction of a topic, main points, advantages, disadvantages, how to use, what about a person, what is a city well known for, etc. And then go for conclusion. This is a pretty simple thing. We'll just have a small example of this, how to go. See, introduction, body, and conclusion. Right. So what can we give in the introduction part? So again, we're talking about Visakhapatnam. Vizag is its location. Vizag's location. That's it. Vizag is situated in Andhra Pradesh, which is to the south of India. That's it. We are only talking for 1 minute. So the Vizag's location becomes an introduction. And in body, you can talk about the education system here, educational institutions here, and then the job. After education, where would you go? You work. So what are the things, what are the places that you can go and work here? You have government institutions like major government offices, like, you have Naval Dockyard, you have Port Trust, you have Shipbuilding Corporation, and a lot of government organizations. Okay, after that you have private organizations wherein you can go for HSBC or Sutherland or something like that. You can bring up all the private institutions. Post which you can talk about Hospitals. After that, you can also talk about the beaches, which would actually, beach is a crux of Vishakhapatnam, isn't it? Every Vizagite is proud. Every Vizagite is very proud of their beaches, right? So you can talk about the beaches, but keep in mind that beauty of Vishakhapatnam comes in the ending. And initially, you need to talk about the major topics like your education and where the government organizations and all that stuff. Then come to the hospitals, beaches, and you can also talk about Simhachalam and Araku. In conclusion, you can talk about drawbacks and in drawbacks you might talk about weather, the weather conditions here, and you can talk about the weather condition. In drawbacks, you can talk about the weather conditions, or you can also talk about the job inavailabilities. Like, an MCA guy cannot get a proper job here. He needs to go out of the city. So these kind of drawbacks, whatever you feel like, you can talk about it over here. And then there is another way of talking about any topic, that is reason, repercussion, remedy, and result. Now, what is reason, repercussion, remedy, and result? For abstract topics like tsunami, war, pandemics, depression, etc., this is how you can talk, right? Reason, why does something happen? Why does a tsunami occur? Why does something occur? What are the negative after effects? What are the remedies that we can be prepared of? And if we use the remedies, what is the result? I'm sorry, there's a small spelling error here. Now, reason, repercussion, remedy, result. A tsunami occurs because there is a earthquake in the sea. Repercussions, what are the negative after effects? The flooding, you can talk about the flooding, the ecological system going for a toss. You can talk about the human loss. It's a major thing that we have the human loss and all that you can talk about here. Is there a remedy? Is there something that we can do to prevent the repercussions, or at least reduce the repercussions? Well, we have a tsunami warning system which works in two ways. One is it predicts, or it gets the information when the tsunami is about to hit, and then it informs the government, or the software beeps when the tsunami is about to hit, and then we can actually go for evacuation and all that stuff. And if we follow this remedy, what would be the result? Result is how less can we go for the repercussions. All right, this is the second way of talking about any particular topic. Now, generally when you go for an interview, these are the four categories they would ask you the topics in. First is the current affairs. It has business, technology, politics, education, social activities, and all that. Abstract topics: what would happen if the Earth stopped rotating? All these are hypothetical questions, and you have factual topics and controversial topics. Now, abstract subjects and the controversial topics, these two are asked to check your mental ability or your behavioral aspects. If they give you a topic like, reservations here, should the reservation be removed? How intense are you? How emotionally stable are you? They might ask you a question like, women are better managers than men. So how would a man react to it? How would a woman react to it? Would a woman be proud and say, yes, of course, we are better managers? Or will the man agree with the women? Or will the man say, no, it is absolutely not? Or would you give a personal example like, my mother works and she also takes care of the house, so yes, women are better managers? How would you talk? How would you talk? This is how they check your behavioral aspects here. And when they come to the current affairs, they'll see, as all the competitive exams asks you, how well do you follow the news and all that stuff? They check it here with the factual topics and the current affairs. Starting your practice. Now, how do you start your practice? Rate of speech. See, when you are practicing these techniques, the reason, repercussion, remedy, result, and the instruction, body, conclusion, topics, aspects, you can work with, you can use those two techniques to and talk about these topics. How do you do that? Please maintain your rate of speech. See, an Indian, or to be very specific, to the Andhra side, we generally, the southern side of India, we generally talk very high, very fast. A rate of speech is very high. We go around 200, 230, 270 also we might. Somewhere between 250 to 70 is our rate of speech. But please maintain your rate of speech at around 170 to 200 words per minute. And when you do this, when you keep your rate of speech around 170 to 200 words per minute, your modulation comes in. Your modulation is, you should keep it calm and clear. When you are calm, obviously the clarity is there. Right, so when you are looking at a speed of 170 to 200 words per minute, you get your modulation and you're keeping calm. Please do not to smile when you're talking. Smile is not the obvious smile. You can smile when you are talking, and when you are talking, if you close your eyes and listen, your smile should be able to be perceived. We should able to perceive your smile. Right, so these are the three ways that you can practice along using your techniques there. Now, what do you do in a jam session? First of all, clear and simple language. We are not here to, propagate a terminology or technology or vocabulary that we have. Please use the words that everybody understands. Brief details. Remember, you have just 1 minute. You don't have much time, so you have to finish it very fast. Keep it simple and straight. Don't give excess information. Do not deviate. If they ask you about, tell me about yourself, you aren't supposed to tell me about yourself. If they ask you about, talk about a bird, you are supposed to talk about a bird. You are not supposed to talk about, you compare dogs and birds and say that dogs are best. You cannot deviate. Conclusion, finish the session with the right conclusion. When you give a conclusion, they would understand that your time management is perfect. And please don't say, I'm concluding the topic like this. Just say conclude. You have to conclude it in a common sense. Don'ts in a jam. Grammatical errors. Don't present the speech with grammar mistakes. Don't repeat, or the redundancy. Don't use redundancy here. Don't drag, and don't use high level of vocabulary. And don't ask questions, as this is not an interactive session. So summary, please train your brain. HR is not dangerous. You need not fly away. I'm sorry, there's a mistake here. You need not fly away. You need to talk for only 200 words. Use the techniques like introduction, body, and conclusion, reason, repercussion, remedy, result, and practice using rate of speech, modulation, and your smile. If you have any questions, you can contact me at eshweta@lbc.edu.in, or you can also go to my website, tejashweta.com. Thank you so much.